Not us if we don't have a little bit of fun.
It's not us if we're not giggling when we start these things.
Oh my goodness. Hello and welcome, our friends, to day one of Between the Veils, 8 Days of Revolutionary Awakening. We are so pumped. We are just so excited. I meant every word of what I said in our email this morning, that we're pumped and excited, and we've been text messaging each other and calling each other and having all kinds of fun synchronicities. Literally, the synchronicities have been rolling in
Already
to start this morning. I was like sitting on the edge of my bed, pulling my card, and I'm like, I should message Dr. Bird, good morning, sunshine. And then I looked down at my phone, and Dr. Bird messaged me what?
Good morning, sunshine.
So we are here to have fun, and whether you are watching us live or you are joining us in the replay, I just want you to know as we start and we kick off the series that you are held and supported in the container that we are weaving together. We will be doing some magical working during this mini series. We're going to be doing card pulls. We're going to be riffing. We're going to be teaching. If you have questions, please send them to us so that we, for you as our live cohort, can make sure that you're getting those questions in. And if you're watching sometime down the road, hopefully all that you were looking for is answered. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Dr. Bird,
Yes.
would you like to kick us off with a more detailed introduction to go? I want us to begin to orient, you out there to who we are and why we kicked this off, why we're doing what we're doing today, so that you maybe feel a little more supported. Like, oh, it's just not two random ladies on the internet who absolutely have no experience in this world.
I mean, it's two random ladies on the internet.
It is two random ladies on the internet. That's true. But we do have some experience, and we want you to know that you are supported and held in this container, and that we're not just making shit up as we go. I mean, we are, but we're not at the same time. So
I call it channeling. Okay, for sure. Okay, also, you're drinking that mug. We have similar color choices going on as well.
Yours are birds and mine are butterflies. How appropriate.
Dirty bird mug. So it's got the blue-footed booby. Before I introduce myself to all of you, let me tell you about my humor. This is the Southern Screamer. And then down here, we have the Dick Sissel.
If you find this funny, you're in good company.
I also have the bearded tit over here. Anyway, hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Melissa Bird. I am a descendant of the Shivwits Band of Paiutes from Utah and Arizona. I'm very giggly this morning. It is early. So the fact that the synchronicities started at 6 a.m. should tell you something about my life. I live in Oregon with my husband and my 3 children and 2 of my children's boyfriends and 2 dogs. There's so much happening here. I am a social worker. I have a master's degree and a PhD in social work, and used to be a lobbyist. And then when I graduated with my PhD, I did not want to teach in the ivory tower of academia. I did teach for a minute. I taught social justice advocacy and community organizing. And then I started this business 8 years ago. That's bananas. Almost 9 years ago. That's bananas. Because I went on a retreat in Scotland, as one does. And stayed in a castle, as one does in Scotland. And I was laying on the floor of the forest, as one does in Scotland. And I had like all these amazing, magical, beautiful ancestral things happen to me while I was laying on the forest floor. I don't lay on the forest floor without a blanket. I don't like bugs. And so the fact that I was just laying on the forest floor in Scotland with no blanket was really something. But like, I was laying there. I don't even think you know the story.
No, this is new to me.
Yeah, you've never heard this. So I'm laying there and I'm like, how can I give this thing that happens to me? How can I share this with other people? And, this is 2017. It's post-election. Women are mad. People are mad. Members of my LGBTQ community are mad. The witches are mad. And I'm laying there going, I wonder if I can do this with other people. And it has evolved since then. It's not, I mean, at first I was doing these in-person workshops called Fanning the Flames, where I was
Right.
teaching people how to connect to their passion and their intuition to make a difference in their lives and their communities. And that thread is still there. But it has evolved into this really incredible practice where over these 8 years, I also have figured out how powerful I am. I've gone through a lot of spiritual evolution. Um, when I when I came out of the Christian witch closet, I thought I had created the hashtag Christian witch. Like I was like, oh my God, I came up with a new hashtag. And then I put it in and there's like tens of thousands of people. And I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And so this evolution over time of being able to own the entirety of my identities has been
Mm.
really beautiful and really important. And it's part of why when I met you and um, I feel like we were like mashed together by the universe because we have still never seen each other in person, but we hang out all the time and talk all the time, which I think is the beauty and the magic of the internet. Um, Even though the internet can be used for so much not good things, I
Mhm.
feel like there's a lot more good than not.
Yeah.
And so when you and I collided in such a beautiful way, um, I have learned how to identify that this is part of my own expansion.
Mhm.
And so when we decided to do this idea of revolutionary awakening, I feel like it's not just for other people, but it's a really great reminder that that awakening never ends. So I feel like as I have gone through this evolutionary spiritual practice and learned how to teach other people how to listen to their intuitive skills and find their magic and connect to God and the universe and the earth and the planet and how those things are all interwoven and connected. I feel like what we are doing with this revolutionary awakening is really helping people understand that this is a constant and consistent um, expansion. And I had to go through the boss babe phase and like all God, the boss babe
The
phase.
boss babe phase. Ooh.
Um, you know, we we get told so much about what a business is supposed to look like. And I think one of the most beautiful things about what you and I are doing together is that what we are doing is showing people that having a spiritually grounded practice can also translate into a spiritually grounded business, can also translate into helping other people really call in their power and learn that it is actually not a bad thing, that it is white supremacy and patriarchy and misogyny and all of these things that teach us that our magic is not appropriate and not okay.
Yes. Mm. I have so many things to follow up on with that. So thank you. I literally was taking notes. I'm like, we need to come back to this. Beautiful. And just in case you don't know me, I'm Safrianna Lughna, the queer spirit guide. I had no idea that you had that experience in Scotland and that kicked your journey off in so many ways 8 years ago. Or I love that you thought you invented the Christian witch hashtag. It's very fascinating. We're going to get into this throughout this whole series about how spirituality, we can make it our own. And it's okay if someone else is doing it similarly out there, but is it coming from us? But anyway, on that note, I am a trauma therapist. I'm a licensed trauma therapist. So I have a similar work to Dr. Bird in terms of that sociology, social work, counseling background. And so everything I do comes from that sort of trauma informed lens. But I have been practicing now and hosting Wheel of the Year rituals and moon rituals for 18 years, which blows my mind that it has been 18 years. And, I have been studying world religions pretty much as long as I was an adult and could make my own choices, because I grew up very much not even going to church, but simultaneously force fed the fear parts of religion.
Mm.
And I, again, know we'll get into this in depth, but that fear really kept my spirit trapped and small and scared until I was 18 years old. And I literally woke up from a dream one morning and I knew that I was a druid. And I didn't even know what that means. So I did research, got some books from the store, from the library, looked around, looked on the internet, and slowly figured out my own path. And I was just delighted when I found Druidry. And it opened me up to the concept for the first time that I didn't have to be religious to be spiritual. Gasp, right? So that's a big thing that I want to bring to other people, is that you get to be spiritual without being religious, because it's one of your bodies. And on the Dr. Bird and I met on the internet, and we kind of just smashed together, and we were this like, oh, we literally say the words and do the same things. We both teach about the 4 bodies. And so we will be, I think we'll actually talk a little bit about that today in orientation to prepare you for what's ahead. But on this, what you said, Dr. Bird, that I just want to piggyback on is this piece about owning the entirety of who we are and our identities is ultimately these next 8 days. The whole purpose is for you to walk away going, you know what? I get to own the full expression of who I am and how I practice and what lights me up and what aligns my 4 bodies, what aligns my spirit to my physical body, to my mind, to my emotions, what brings me that sense of, I'm really glad I've done this. I'm really glad I'm showing up for myself. I'm really glad that I'm learning about who I am. And the journey never ends. Like, that's the other big part of this. And in fact, in our FAQ, we answered this question about, can I master all of this information in 8 days? No, you can't, because you'll never master being in this human life, but you can expand. And I love, we're starting with this orientation of expansion. So as we really get into our teaching, talking, riffing today, Dr. Bird, would you like to open us in prayer?
I do. And I want to add to what you were just saying, because of course.
The riffing, it gets going.
I think this is actually a nice foundational point for people to hold throughout the next 8 days, right? Like, the 4 bodies, the spiritual body, the physical body, the emotional body, and the mental body are actually, like, if you think of those as little points, if you look on a wheel, the middle of that is the land body, the earth body. The earth body is what roots all of those other bodies together. And so it's also about taking those 4 bodies, realizing they don't have to be in alignment, because balance is not real. I'm a Libra, so I'm constantly looking for it. But it's really about harmonizing those things with the planet and with the earth, and learning how all of those things are really rooted into that land body, and how when we root those things into the land helps us identify when one or more of those bodies needs more nurturing, needs more love, doesn't need alignment, it doesn't need fixing. It's about allowing the land to help connect us to those things that might be feeling off, so that we can help heal those parts of ourselves and also exalt them. Like, I keep thinking about what happens when we exalt the soul and allow the soul to drive, while we're still using our big, beautiful brains to get words and art and language and work out into the world. But there's this beautiful thing that happens when we're rooted into the land. And so I just wanted to say that, add that.
Yeah, that's very important. And when I teach the fifth body, it's the community and the
Oh,
planet, that
mhm,
larger connection. And it is and so I'd take it even a step further, rooting into the land, but also remembering, because this is huge, 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 remembering that we are a part of a human collective, and
mhm,
we are a part of a planet that has a lot of other living, breathing entities on it. And how do we orient to that?
mhm.
So
Yes. Okay. So
now,
prayer.
the prayer, before you jump into the prayer, I want to say, even here, we are not telling you that you have to be a part of any religion, that you have to believe in any form of particular God or universe or spirit or deity. We are a grab bag of it all. And for me, everything's the golden thread, which is a whole topic. But receiving prayer is an intention. Prayer is ascending to the universe. Prayer is a gathering of our energy and focusing on it so that we can give word to what we're calling in, or what we're giving gratitude for or grace around. So it does not have to be, oh no, we're in church.
Oh no, we're not doing that.
No.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Also, praying is spelling. So when we cast spells, it's the literal act. Praying and spelling are the same thing. Um, we pray all the time with our words, and so the praying and spelling, it's the literal action of putting letters into words and spelling those words out. And so we are always casting spells, always. So you and I have been casting a spell the whole time we've been talking, right? Like,
Yep.
praying is spelling and spelling is praying. And it's the literal action of spelling words and putting them together in sentences to act with the universe. So there we go. All
Beautiful.
right. Okay. So this is a prayer for the rebels that comes out of my book, actually, Love Notes and Prayers, Guidance for the Soul. So here we go. Divine Creator, thank you for your always perfect timing, for the reminder of nature's seasons and your living veins of ever-flowing water. Creator, we thank you for the constant reminder that we are both the changer and the changed, for the daily opportunities to grow more luminous through your wisdom. Glorious God, thank you for your forgiveness and understanding that while we rebel, we are reminded of our humanity with each breath that we take, that we are here to have the experience of living. And sometimes that means we feel as if we are a stranger in our own body, a traveler who does not understand what our soul is craving, a person taken by surprise when you show us our calling, a warrior with no battle to fight. We are grateful for the fierceness in your tenderness. Divine Creator, thank you for your holy, magnificent grace. Blessed be, so mote it be. Amen.
So mote it be. Blessed be. Amen.
I also want to say something about the word amen,
Yeah.
because the word amen actually translates to, and so it is.
Mm. Yes. Yeah. I remember, and this is where us stretching our horizons and getting out there and experiencing different spiritual forms or different religions or different ceremony is so powerful,
Mm.
because I had a really like ugly relationship with amen for a long time, because I associated it with the forceful, energy stuff.
Yeah.
And then I went to Unity Church, and we really like reignited my relationship with it. And that's where I didn't talk about in the introduction, but I was a Unity prayer chaplain for a while. You're a lay preacher. So we have these little elements of Christianity that we pull in, you even bigger, in bigger ways than me. But there's no one right way. We get to go, if we're having a tense feeling about something, this is an invitation to lean in and go, well, what's happening there? What information are my bodies giving me? And do I need further information? Is this telling me it's not for me? Is my fear response actually telling me this absolutely is for me, but I'm breaking my status quo, and so I'm a little scared? Like, all of this information is information. Just notice.
Well,
What
and
was it
that's the
like?
revolution, right? Like that is it's revolutionary to not ignore the feelings that come up in our body They don't want us to do that.
Oh,
You
no,
know,
they do not.
patriarchal structures of capitalistic bullshit don't want us to recognize our feelings.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
if we do that, then we are embodied, and you cannot control people when they are embodied.
Yes. Yeah, and that separation from spirit, this is one of the things you said when you were introducing yourself that I wanted to come back to, is that separation from spirit keeps us powerless. So when we're taught, and I'm going to use my dominant lens, which was growing up in sort of the Christian Catholic area of life.
Mhm.
I was mostly surrounded by Christians and Catholics. And I heard so many messages about, I didn't go to Catholic church, but I kept hearing messages about how we couldn't have our own relationship with God and we had to go through someone else. And that, like, even as a kid, confused me. It left me going, but why? If this is my creator too, why is there hierarchy? And so revolutionaries, hierarchies got to go. That's step one in all of this, is like letting go of hierarchy. There is no one right religion that's better than all the other religions. There's no one right kind of people or one white way to practice. I do that shit all the time.
Great.
I Freudian slip on the right and white, because that's, I mean, again, hi, I'm a white woman. I've grown up in the privilege of white womanhood, and also the complications of white womanhood, and I own it all. Like,
Yeah.
we have been trained into a dominant society for the most part. If you're listening to us, you've probably been trained into a dominant society.
Well, and the thing that I love about what you just said too is we are always connected to our divinity. We are souls having a human experience. It's I hate it when people say that, but it's true. Like
But it's true.
but it's true, right? And so when I'm working with people, like I have a particular she used to be a client, now she's a really good friend. A particular friend who I'm like, don't you remember when you used to make magic potions when you were a kid? And she's like, I literally don't. And I'm like, but I can see it. Like, I'm like, but all your guides want you to remember that you used to make magic potions when you were a kid. And that happens a lot when I'm working with people. Like, don't you remember when you would just lay in the grass and make bird's nests out of grass and like just lay around and eat, like you're laying on your belly and your feet are just going back and forth like this and you're just laying there daydreaming? Like, that is connecting to the divine.
Yes.
And people are like, no, I don't remember that. And I'm like, but you did it. Right. And so if we can also recall, if we can heal enough to recall the moments where we would lose track of time. I used to teach preschool, so my kids would do it all the time. Like, you just watch a kid just go off into the nether regions of wherever they were going. And
Into the woods.
they were like, in this room full of running, screaming 4-year-olds just going off into they were going somewhere and daydreaming, and like also daydreaming is a form of dreaming, right? And I remember the first time I learned that, I was doing a class and someone said, well, I was like, I don't remember my dreams. And they're like, well, don't you daydream? And I was like, what are you talking about? And then I was like, oh shit,
I do. Whoa.
I do all the time, dreaming all the time. So it's also these little symbols that we're going to talk about for the next 8 days. Like, how do you identify those moments of connection that are usually really small? I had a moment this morning when I had my first sip of coffee, which is my favorite. It's so good. And you keep drinking the cup of coffee and it never tastes the same as that first sip of coffee. And I was like, oh God, I did that so perfect. I created the perfect cup of coffee. And I thought, oh, that's delightful. And it's the recognizing of the littlest, tiniest things that just center us.
Yes.
So over these 8 days, we're going to help people recognize even the little rituals that are the connective tissue to what is holy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like whole, WHOLE, and also holy. And how can we take back some of these words that have been co-opted by white supremacist, Christian nationalist bullshit, and remember that these words are actually the greatest spells that we can cast into the world. as
Yes.
we are going through this revolution.
Yeah. And I just want to side note off of that a little bit. This is going to come out of left field, but some of our audience, especially I know in my world, people identify as having reincarnated
Mhm,
onto this planet
mhm.
from another planet. And I identify that way too. So that's why I'm saying some of our people out here, you might identify with this. And I just want to say this because I'm really glad you spoke to that co-opted by white supremacy. And there's a reclamation in language, just like I've reclaimed the term queer. Um, there are words that have been pejorated and made to mean something bad.
Oh my god.
And in
That's
and
word.
yeah.
I
And
hate
there's so many words in the spiritual community that have had the same happen. So if you ever hear me refer to star seeds, I want to speak to that because the term star seed at some point in time was yet again co-opted by white patriarchal supremacists who started using that idea, that concept, as another form of hierarchy, as in if you are a person who identifies as having reincarnated from somewhere other than Earth, you are more important or special. It's a universe. We all exist in one universe. Everything in the universe is at the same level, made of the same stuff, made of the same consciousness, made of the same spirit and the same God. There's no hierarchy. So, reconnecting to our language, reconnecting to what is our authentic expression without having to I'm going to tear down the white supremacists. They deserve it. But because they're trying to go control people. And
Mhm.
our ideal here is freedom and self-expression and sovereignty, and that the awakening never ends while you're here on Earth. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I do know that some of our people have questions about that. And on this note of listening and information, I think we should share our cards for the day because I'm just gonna show you mine.
So before you do this,
Yeah.
one of the things I want to tell people, so as we're going through these 8 days, we're going to be talking a lot about the tools of your craft, right?
Mhm.
And your spiritual, like, what do you use? Not everybody uses cards. Like, I can't use a pendulum to save my life. That's a hard no for me. Like,
That's my superpower. I can
right.
literally use
You can use it,
anything
yeah,
as
as a pendulum,
keychain
right?
pendulum.
So you're going to hear us refer to, I mean, the cards are my modality. Like, they are the way that I get a lot of answers from spirit. And so I just want to say that you don't, we pull cards because it's one of the tools that we use to harness our channeling and how we're connecting with spirit. And so you might have a different way, but this is kind of fun because
Yes. Yeah, and great.
we pull cards and then our heads explode because we're like, oh my god.
Yeah, cards can be, if you work with angels, ancestors, guardians, and guides, I find my cards a really great way to talk to specific guides or talk to specific angels of mine, or to just get a message from my higher self, the universe, whatever.
Yeah.
You can have whatever relationship you want with them, and that's so much of what's fun. And I will say, going back to my growing up very fearful, when I bought my first card deck, like I thought it was the straight path to hell and that God was literally going to strike me down on the spot in the store at the checkout with the deck. It has not happened. In fact, life has only become more lovely and more open and expansive the more that I've opened to my spiritual self. So I just want to
And also you can buy your own deck because that whole thing about how you have to be given a deck in order to use it is bullshit.
There's no one right answer, my friends. So I was pulling my daily card this morning. I pull a card every morning as a part of my own grounding and spiritual practice. Okay, it's not every morning. Sometimes I'm pulling that card at 9:30 at night. We're not going to lie here. We're going to be very real with you. But it's an important part of my daily practice because it helps me tune into what's the primary energy of the day, what do I want to pay attention to, remember, etc. So I love this today. Again, welcome to Beyond the Veils, 8 Days of Revolutionary Awakening, where I pulled the card Awakened Awareness, and the very first meaning is Beyond the Veil.
You just can't make this shit
You
up.
just can't make this shit up. And so I wanted to share.
I want to see it again. Can you? Oh my God, that's so beautiful.
It's like almost like a dragon eye blooming out of this flower. And this painter, Izzy Ivy is her name. She channels all of these paintings that she created her deck out of. And this card is perfect for us kicking today off. And so even as I describe this card a little bit, I know I'm gonna drop in and channel something here. I can just feel it. So, awakened awareness. I invite you to receive the medicine of this card with me here right now. Seeing your own inner flower blooming, your own heart space flower blooming, your own third eye blooming, opening up, expanding beyond this veil, this physical, lived experience into the unseen realms. These 8 days are here to help you clear distortion from your field, clear the distortion and the illusion of control and fear and one right way, clearing the distortion so you can be aware of what's really true for you. You can be aware of what's running you subconsciously that you could release, so that you can be aware of what your body, mind, emotions, and spirit are communicating with you. And so that you can drop into more energetic sovereignty, more inner safety, groundedness, and so that you can begin to grow. You can grow and expand beyond your wildest imaginings, beyond your comfort zone, into the true realms of genius that you came here to embrace and embody. This is a collective awakening. So as you receive the medicine of this card, I invite you to breathe in and exhale, letting go of anything that's not yours, as we begin to fully drop in and open to this 8-day experience. Awakened awareness. So what did you pull? I can't wait.
This is from the Living Altar deck, which was handed, again, I was in Scotland a different year, and I was literally handed this deck by a stranger.
So sometimes you will be gifted a deck, and that's great.
We're going to talk about, too, is paying attention to the signs, the signier signs. So when I was leaving for Scotland to go to this conference, I said out loud and in writing, I'm going to get a new deck in Scotland. What, tarot deck, oracle deck, whatever it is. I'm going to get a new card deck in Scotland. And in my mind, as is it usually works this way, I had this vision that I'd be going to some amazing occult store in Glasgow, and you know, it would be like this amazing experience of like, right? No. So I had the whole thing planned in my head. And first of all, I could not find a store near where the conference was, near where I was staying. Second of all, I'm at this conference and I'm chatting. Our speaker had was disabled. And so they had someone who traveled with them to help them, to assist them in their travels. And so I'm sitting with the assistant person, and we were talking, and they were like, hold on. I brought something with me to Scotland, and I think you're the person who's supposed to have it. And they're like, I'll be right back. And they like leave, go to they're staying in the hotel attached to the conference center, right? They come back like 2 minutes later with this deck of cards, and they're like, here, you have to have this. And I was like,
that's fucking wild.
So this deck is really powerful. It's really zingy. They actually say that it's a living grimoire with each card charged with a spell. So and it is like, it's amazing. So here we are talking about between the veils and awakening and identity.
Oh.
Did you see the butterflies on your cup, by the way?
I know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's why you were giggling at me. So I understand.
Well, there was that. There was that. But also, we're helping people with their identity. Where this 8 days is about allowing you to expand into how you identify, not how we tell you to identify, but your identity. So we're going to cast the spell. You ready?
Yes.
I am what I am. I am not what I am not. I vow to stop censoring myself. I am responsible for tracking the ways I take myself out onto others and the ways I love myself back home again. I am not too much. So long as what I am offering is true to my values, goals, and honors the person that I am and wanting to be. How do we address the ways we weaponize our identities to uphold false and limiting patterns of self-betrayal? How can we recapitulate the blossoming of our integrity into the liberation of our true power and grace? We are bold enough to care for the desires, beliefs, opinions, and values that reside within us. We are courageous enough to share those treasures with ourselves in earnest. I am loving enough to bring them forward into the world through all that I do. I simply am all that I am, no more and no less.
Breathe that in. Whew.
What we were talking
about. The card, and that's the more that I work with cards, the more that they just affirm what I've already said. It's like just that you talked about signs and synchronicities, the affirmation of, yep, you're doing what you're doing. Yep, you're on that path. Yep. Yeah. I loved that spell. This, I was really pulled in by the fact that it mentioned blossoming in integrity and liberation, because I feel like that goes hand in hand with the blossoming that came through that awakened awareness. And I love that piece about sharing the treasures with ourselves. At the end of the day, my friends, your spiritual journey is for you and no one else. And I'm gonna stand on my little soapbox for a moment and just say that when you are beginning your spiritual journey, you're opening spiritually, you're opening your awakened awareness, you're tuning in. It's not the time to go make your spirituality for other people. It's not the time to go hang your shingle and start a spiritual business because, cool, you had your spiritual awakening. We want this to be the treasure shared with ourselves first, so that we can stand in the I am all that. I am all that. And I am my spirit, and I get to have my spirit for myself, because the moment that we rush into, I now need to sell myself, we have switched back over into capitalism mode, back over into, I am doing this thing for sustenance of this outside nature, not sustenance in myself. So letting yourself have your own blooming, blossoming spiritual integrity is so important, that again, it feels aligned to you. It's not coming from shame. It's not coming from fear. It's coming from, this feels good in my body. Wow, I get excited when I think about that. Whenever I do it, my body feels light and I feel a little happiness or joy, and my spirit feels like it's blossoming, and I feel like I can go out and connect with people more. Like, that's what you want your spirit to suffuse you, to fill you up and to build you up.
And that's how we connect in community as well. Like, once we've got that so firmly anchored in and rooted in and built in, then there's something really beautiful about letting our light shine. There's I remember how in all the fairy tales the witch looks really beautiful and then she doesn't, right? Like, all the fairy tales, of course, turn her into a big ugly hag with a nasty nose and warts and all the things.
Patriarchy.
Yeah, patriarchy. There have been moments when I am so, like, I have I'm just anchored. I'm just rooted. I'm just centered. Maybe I've been doing a little bit of magic, but I'll walk by myself in the mirror and I'll like do a double take and be like, dang, you're so beautiful. Like there's something that happens when I will look at myself when I've been doing a lot of spelling and praying and magic. And I'll look at myself and be like, you're literally glowing. Like something happens. And
Yes.
it's the weirdest thing I have ever experienced in this whole practice. Like I'll look at myself and be like, wow.
Yes, there's something to that.
And then people are like naturally they want to hang out because you become the anchor in the chaos
And
and
the beacon.
and the beacon for people to want to connect because and not in a codependent fucked up way. I want to be really clear. Like it's
Yep.
just like people just want to be with you.
Mm-hmm.
And we are really that is what's happening collectively as we move through the chaos and fear of our current political time on Monday, October 27th, the year of our Lord 2025. Like things are a little bananas right now. And there's something so beautiful. I talk about the graceful revolution, that the graceful revolution gives us permission to um, to honor ourselves first so that we can have grace for others. If we have grace for ourselves, we can have grace for others. And that is revolutionary. The
Mm-hmm.
revolution is not always about protest and anger and fighting and fist pumping and all of these things. That is important and protest is important. But there's another form of protest when we allow ourselves to be fully in our identity and admit I am what I am and I am not what I am not. Like that is revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
That is living in the liminal space. We named this Between the Veils because we're getting closer and closer to Samhain and the Day of the Dead and All Souls Day and All Saints Day. Like there's big stuff coming up next weekend. And I was reading some notes I took during Indigenous Peoples Day, and one of the speakers said that that Indigenous people in particular, Native people in particular, are always walking the path between two worlds,
Mm-hmm.
walking the path between our Native sovereignty and the world of the white man. And I just love this idea of us thinking about how we are finding the path between two worlds, whether you're Native American or not. There is something about figuring out that sovereignty and that capacity to be able to be in the liminal space between the chaos and the impending war that is coming, and and this deep spiritual, physical, emotional practice of anchoring in and rooting down and acknowledging who we are.
Mm-hmm. There's so much. I love the ideas just pop off like mad. It's two big things on that. I want to talk about the liminal space that we're in and our sovereignty. But I also just this was coming in as you were talking about how when you are in your power and you're doing your thing, you're spiritually expressing yourself, emotionally expressing yourself, you have these moments you walk by the mirror and you're like, wow. There's some real truth to this. The more that we use our power, the more that we stand in our power, the brighter that we shine. I'm a huge fiction fan. I know Dr. Bird likes to read too. There's an author named Leigh Bardugo. I look up to her so much. I aspire to be like Leigh Bardugo one day. And she has these magical people called the Grisha in her series. And the more that the Grisha use their magic, the healthier they are, the happier they are, and the more healthy they eat, and the more that they eat, because they're burning. And this is the thing, like when you channel energy and you are doing stuff for yourself, you'll feel heat and cold differences in your body, like all these little things that you can notice. And that's part of the fun of it, of you getting to know yourself, is like, okay, well, when I express my magic, maybe your magic comes through writing, maybe it comes through music, maybe it comes through dancing, maybe it comes through cooking. But when you experience your magic, whatever it looks like, what happens in your body? How do you feel the difference that says, like, I'm in my zone of genius? I like this term, native sovereignty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, native meaning home here, like at home in ourselves,
Yep.
our sovereignty within ourselves, because we are all walking two worlds, the world of what's inside of ourselves and this external collective. And so about the liminal space, I just want to offer a perspective. You don't have to agree with me, but this is on like dimensional shit and how I perceive the dimensions. So this is the 3D, right? Knock on, there's physical matter here. The 5D that so many spiritual practitioners talk about is kind of where our guides, our ancestors, etc., can sit and communicate with us. And we communicate with them through the power of presence, which exists inside of us. So our body, we get up into our presence, which might be our mental, spiritual, energetic thread. And we sort of thread through what I see as the 4th dimension, which is awareness, into the 5th dimension to source our spiritual relationships and get that information. It really is just as simple as that. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that.
I'm just sitting here going, oh, is that what that is?
Yeah. And that's symbolically.
The minute someone starts talking about 4D, 5D, I'm like,
what's happening here?
Me?
Yeah. And this is, I use the figure 8 in my teaching a lot, because that is what I call the shadow light dance. The shadow, what we perceive as the shadow, is 1/2 of the figure 8. We'll call it right now we're going to call it the top half, is the shadow, and the bottom half is light. So the bottom half is the 3D, what we can see, what we can bang on. The crossing point between the figure 8, where the 2 loops cross over each other, is the 4D. It's the point of awareness where the physical body can project, cast, connect, whatever you want to call it, into the shadow, that top realm, the 5D, which also happens to be where we can communicate with our guides and stuff. So we're literally just threading the body through the awareness into the unseen. That's all we're doing. And I think that that's just a way simpler way to look at that dimensional stuff than whatever else is out there.
I love that you keep pointing to your third eye, because like
Connecting.
I actually did a TikTok the other day where I was like wiping. I was like this. I was like, could I see clearer? And also, this reminds me, I'm going to go off on a tangent for a minute because it's adorable. I walked in. I walked into my. Sean was like 4 or 5. Little. I walked in my bedroom and he's sitting on my bed and he's got his little legs crossed and he's leaning against my pillows and he has this pink sticker on his forehead and he's just sitting there. And I was like, what are you doing? And he goes, Mom, my third eye has pink eye. In like dead seriousness. And I was like, right, okay, I'm sorry about that. But what are you doing? And because he's just bouncing he's got his knees crossed and he's just bouncing his little foot. And I was like, but what are you doing? And he goes, I'm resetting and I'm upgrading my software.
I love that.
And I thought, dude, you are off in some realm, right? Because he's just sitting there. I don't know who he's talking to, but he's like, and I think about that often when I think about my own connection to what you're referring to as the 5D. I just call it spirit. Like,
yeah,
they're all floating around everywhere. And I'm really thinking about, it just reminded me so much of Sean, like just being off where he's like, I'm regenerating, but he like used it in computer terms. Like, I'm updating my software. I'm waiting for the
great way to look at it.
I'm waiting for the download, Mom. And I'm like, okay, bye. And I walk back to my room because I'm like, well, I'll just leave it to it then. And he's like, he's like, comes downstairs. I was like, what's up with your third eye? And he's like, oh, the pink eye's gone.
He cleared it.
He cleared it.
He reset.
I literally have a picture of him with that little dot on his forehead. I'll have to send it to you. Anyway, all that is to say, it can be that simple.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as adults who have been through some shit, you know, we overcomplicate awakening. We overcomplicate spiritual work. We think there are rules. There's no fucking, I would say the only rule is do no harm, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, do not engage in spiritual practice to harm other people.
Yes.
Even though it's tempting.
It's very tempting sometimes.
But don't. And so there's no rules. And so my hope, because I want to talk about my hopes for the next 8 days. Like, my hope is that as we move through this process, that people will really see that we don't have to assign limitations to what our practice evolves into being once you've absorbed all this information, because that's what patriarchy want. That's what white supremacist patriarchal in our internalized misogyny says, well, there has to be, you have to put this in some sort of structure. And that is actually the biggest thing I've had to fight against as I have evolved my spiritual practice, particularly over the last 8 years, is since that moment, the first moment in Scotland, is this remembering that I don't have to be afraid that this is limitless.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, perhaps that's why we're all here, is to explore in the vastness of our spiritual, physical, emotional, and mental bodies with this connection to the land, is to explore what it means to come back to all of those things and connect with all of those bodies and really allow ourselves to remember that we are the land, we are the water, we are the animals, we are the birds, we are the trees, we are humans being. We are not these, we're not perfect. Like, I have this practice. I used to, this like totally, it was actually channeled. It was really weird. But like, I had this practice where like, I literally heard like, put your hands together and notice that one finger is bigger than another finger. It's taller than another finger, right? So like one ear is higher than the other ear. One boob's bigger than the other boob. One shoulder is different, right? Our hips are different. Our feet are different sizes. Some people have feet a whole size different. We literally don't stitch together in the room perfectly. We are not symmetrical. We are actually asymmetrical. So when you simply put your hands together and realize that one is larger than the other one, or one is smaller than the other one, when you do that, you recognize that in our natural state of being, we are imperfect, which means you don't have to practice a spiritual practice perfectly. The only perfection that anybody is striving for is held up by white evangelical men who want us to be perfect. And we are not born to be perfect. We are born to be imperfect. And I know this because I would never look at a hummingbird and say, wow, dang, you're so pretty, but could you make that throat a little brighter? Or could you flap your wings a little faster or a little slower so I can see you? Like, you know, you don't look at an aspen tree. Aspen trees are my favorite trees. You don't look at an aspen tree and go, oh, wow, look how beautiful those yellow leaves are. But could you make them a little more yellow? Because I think that would be prettier. Like, you don't do that.
Right.
So why do we talk to ourselves this way? And that's what I'm hoping as we've opened this portal and we're going through these 8 days, is that people will really recognize that our spirit, we are not meant to engage in a perfect spiritual practice.
Truth. Well, let's drop in again and close this. Close this.
Oh my God.
We're 55 minutes in and we could continue talking about just this. But, you know, what I want to say to that, friends, is, you know, we have 5 more days we're going to be live. And each of the next 5 days that we're going to be live, we are breaking down a very specific topic and we're going to get into some nitty gritty. So today we've been kind of orienting to like, why are we doing this? It's because of hierarchy. It's because of patriarchal programming. It's because people have lived in fear about being themselves, and that's some bullshit. Like, we should not be afraid to be who we are and to express our love, our souls, our light. And so just to reorient, we are going to be talking about decolonizing your rituals, healing the witch wound and honoring our own magic, the golden thread and building blocks of spiritual practice, returning to the past to create a connected future, and then living in your revolutionary truth. And for those of you who are joining us for this live cohort, you get to be with us in our Zoom ritual portal room. So super looking forward to that. But I just want us to drop in here to really see this portal opened and to see ourselves stepping through it. So I'll invite you, eyes can be opened or closed, because again, this is your spiritual practice, to just orient to your breath here for a moment, feeling the rise and fall of your body, feeling the air moving through, maybe even noticing the gentle swirls of energy or your pulse that are here. And see, sense, know the portal that we are opening together. This 8 days of revolutionary awakening between the veils, playing in the realms of our ancestors, those who came before, who long for us to step boldly embodied into the life of our dreams and desires. This portal opening to listen, to hear, to know, to sense the messages from our ancestors urging us on collectively into more love. This portal opening to invite us into more self-love and more communal love, love of the land, of this collective, of this planet. As you breathe here consciously, touching base with your thinking mind, noticing the body of your thoughts. Consciously tuning in to your felt sense, your feelings. What are you emotionally noticing right now? What does your felt body want to tell you? Consciously tuning into your physical body, head to toe, from scalp to the very tippy toes, the end of your feet. Feeling that sovereign home, this body temple you call your own, knowing it is what walks with you through this portal. Connecting up, down, out, around, wherever you notice energy, spirit, your soul, connecting to your soul body, your spiritual body, your connection between your humanity and your divinity. Perhaps noticing a thread from the spine all the way up into the heavens, or noticing the energy bubble around you, or just noticing that you're alive in the intersection of physicality and consciousness, that you have a sentience, and know from that that you have been created for something so much greater than only your thinking mind can think. Seeing yourself collective here, mind, body, emotion, spirit, and seeing yourself amongst the land, amongst the people of the planet, the plants and animals, seeing yourself as part of a larger, greater whole that you get to root down into, connect even more deeply to, and thus expand your spirit in these 8 days and beyond. Breathing, calling yourself fully back home, and then wiggle it out. Wiggle it out. Feel your body, feel your energy, and take a moment to look around your space. See yourself back here in this 3D realm. This portal is open, my friends. We are so excited. I know today was a lot of general stuff, but we are going to, like I said, dive in deeper. If you have questions when you get your replay, don't hesitate to reach out and let us know what you are hoping we'll talk about in the coming days. And otherwise, again, our big invitation is to step into sovereignty in the midst of the chaos and know that you're human and divine in your own unique and special way.
Yay!
Yay! Is there anything else you want to share today, Dr. Bird, before we close out?
No.
All right. Well, in that case, we will be back here tomorrow to talk about decolonizing your rituals. We're so excited you've joined us, and you'll get your little discussion prompts or your reflection prompts and your summaries and all that along with this. If you are not signed up for our live cohort and you want to be, stay tuned for another 30 seconds after we wave goodbye, and we'll tell you how to get involved. So glad Wendy and Gloria were here with us live this morning, and to all of you in the replay, we love you so much. We see you. We believe in you. We're cheering you on. We can't wait to join you again tomorrow. And yes, this is the time for the live Monday through Friday, and you'll get the replay if you're signed up here shortly after Safrianna does all of the digital magic behind the scenes.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, y'all. Love y'all so much.
Thanks for being here.
All right. So for those of you who are wanting to get involved, you don't know how to get involved, here is what you do. You're just going to head on over to livinglunas.com/8days. When you sign up for this, what it means is that you will get the replays for this, all the summaries, the transcripts, and I'm going to send you a personalized reading. And then you get our ticket to our Zoom room for ritual day. So if you're like, I liked this, I want more, you can go head on over there and sign up, and you can email me if you have any questions.
And just to make sure you saw, Wendy, absolutely, this is the time for every day except for Saturday, our reader day, and Sunday is at a different time. So.
Yep. Everything will be there in your inbox, my friends. If you are signed up and you're not getting those emails, though, let me know, because the first one has gone out.
If you're not signed up, you totally should.
Yes, we're excited for this. So excited for the people that are here with us, and would love to have more if you want to come join us.
Yeah.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye.